Video I'll be going over the different ways of using the children prop, and in particular a very popular pattern that's been used in the industry, especially by Formik, and I believe React Router uses a similar approach. So let's get started. In here I have the parent component, which renders the child component, and the child component has nothing but an input and the text to state that it's the child component. And let's say I wanted to pass something to the child component. So let's say I wanted to pass maybe a header or something to be printed out here. I know the basic approach is to do that is to provide an opening and closing tag of that component. Just get it like that, and within or inside these tags I want to pass in whatever HTML elements I want to be printed out in the child. And so in here I'm going to create a div, and I'm going to create a h1, and I'm going to give it a text, hello there. I'm going to leave it like this. So in this case we're placing everything here inside the child component, and so the child component children prop will hold these elements. So in here, if I go back to the child component and extract the children prop and then print it out here, then you can see on the right that the elements that got injected is already printed out. But what if I wanted to pass information back to these elements? I wanted some information to be placed here. For example, when I type in the child input field, I want the text that gets, or the elements that gets passed, to be notified or to have the same value. And to do that, we've already covered the render props before, but in this case we're going to use a very popular approach used by Formik, which is a children prop, but as a function. And so to do that, we are going to create a function here, and this function will have one parameter. You can have multiple parameters if you want to, but I only need one thing from it. So I'm going to say this is going to hold an input value, and I am going to invoke it straight away or return something, and I'm going to use these brackets to help me return something straight away without the need to insert the return keyword. And in here I'm going to carry everything I had entered previously and place it inside here. And since when this function gets invoked, right now it's only declared, it's not going to do anything if I was to save it, okay, but the text will disappear. All these elements are no longer visible here, so it's only declared. But when it gets invoked like a normal function, the value that gets returned from the child component will be inserted here, and therefore I could say bracket input value and save it. And then I go back to my child component. The children prop has been modified, and now it's a function. So if I was to call the function and pass it in the input value, as you can see now, prints out nothing, but once I start typing, it will change the value to whatever I've typed here, so book. And therefore this shows that the data can be flown back from child to parent and so on. So very, very, very easy example, and it would help you a lot. So just to recap, our children are no longer normal, they are now a function, and the function receives a value, and then the function will return JSX elements or HTML elements, And in the child, we just invoke that function basically. So once this function gets called, everything here gets placed under the input. And if I was to inspect this, you can see that the diff and the h1 are directly under the input. So it's similar to the normal children prop, but this time it's a function. I hope this video has helped you somehow, and I'll see you in the next video.